Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the May edition of Eureka Whiskey Club virtual tasting. As always, Trevor here from my home bar, ready to talk about arguably our most anticipated, sought after, highly collectible, tater, whatever you want to call it, whiskey of the year in Weller Full Proof. And I will introduce our esteemed guest, Anthony Talbert, brand manager of premium bourbons for Sazerac USA, here in just a minute. As always, we start off the call with getting some housekeeping done. So as always, if you're joining us live from Facebook or YouTube, just leave a comment in the leave your questions in the chat. We have a couple great prizes to give away, which I'll talk about in a second. If you're logged in under any other name that's not associated with your membership, please make sure you put the name associated with your membership before your question. That way we know you are indeed a member, but if your account is the same name, then you're golden. Couple prizes we're going to be giving away today. We're going to be giving away a Weller Millennium. Is that right? I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, we're not.
I'll tell you what, that's funny. We will talk about it here in a second, but a lot of cool things along the way with that product coming up.
But I wish I would steal that prize if that's what we were giving away. But anyways, we're going to be giving away a cool bar kit and a bottle, cool Weller bar kit, branded shaker tins, some other cool bar stuff, a Weller bottle, not a whiskey bottle, but like a water bottle. And then we're going to be giving away a tote bag. And then second place, we'll get a Weller Glencairn glass with a shirt and then plus a tote bag. So some cool swag we're giving away tonight. So first place will be that bar kit, the bottle and the tote. And then the second place will be the glass, the Glencairn, the shirt, and then the tote. One more thing before we get into it, since my inbox has been blowing up, because we did say that we're going to have some extra Weller Full Proof for sale with this release. There were some distribution delays. You will get an email hopefully by Friday if with the date of when that's going to be done. Most likely, if all goes to plan, again, pending distribution, we should be releasing those extra bottles at 11 a.m. this Saturday at our restaurants. We have a limited amount, but there should be enough for this is going to be for all active members. There's no tenure associated with this. We will have a caveat to qualify for the to buy the extra bottle, where there'll be $80 for the extra bottle of Weller Full Proof, but it has to be bundled with some other Whiskey Club bottle. So essentially, if you want to buy the bottle, you have to buy another Whiskey Club bottle associated with that. Just so we can make sure that everyone's getting enough. And, So, again, Weller Full Proof available at Saturday at 11 a.m., $80 a bottle, but must be bundled with a purchase of another Whiskey Club bottle. And then in June, if we have any left over, we will allow members to buy up to 2 bottles per membership, again, as long as one other Whiskey Club bottle is purchased. So more details will come out on that. Hopefully by Friday. Again, that's going to be open up to all active members. It's not a tenured release. All active members will qualify as long as you purchase a bottle of something else. You can purchase an extra bottle of Weller Full Proof. All right. Anthony, welcome to the call. Thank you for joining us. Anthony is in Kentucky and has had an exciting day from what I've heard. But Anthony, tell us who you are, introduce yourself. What do you do for Sazerac? And we're happy to have you.
Yeah, you know what? It's absolutely an honor to be with you on this platform today. I am Anthony Talbert. The role that I have is I have the honor and pleasure of looking after Sazerac's premium bourbon that includes Weller and the entire portfolio, 1792, and many other wonderful, amazing brands, probably around 33 brands or so. I've been with the organization for about 2 years now, but I've actually just got on this portfolio here. Prior to this portfolio, I was working on our brandies and cognacs. And then prior to that, I was working on our corporate brand, the Sazerac brand.
Awesome. And now so what are the premium bourbons? You said Weller. I mean, what else? 1792. Anything else that falls under that umbrella?
Absolutely. I mean, Eagle Rare, Rock Hill Farms, Thomas S. Moore.
Okay.
And then, I mean, and things not so premium. I mean, Benchmark, which is still a benchmark look. Now, I won't get into the story behind Benchmark because we're here for Weller, but Benchmark also is a part of the Buffalo Trace family. And the reason why it has that name is because, two points. One, Benchmark signifies when early travelers were going through the Buffalo Trace trails, they would mark their trail as they're going so they wouldn't lose their way. And they would call those marks benchmarks. And so that's how Benchmark got its name. But also, it has its name Benchmark because that's the baseline of the products that we release from the Buffalo Trace Distillery. Still a very, very nice premium product. Wonderful. But nevertheless, we're here to talk Weller. So let's get into it.
So yeah, I mean, just a little bit of background. You said previously you've been with Sazerac for the past 2 years. I mean, I was interested. What led people to? What's your background? What led you to the spirits industry? What led you to Sazerac? What was your history? Did you work for anyone else prior to that? Like, what sparked the interest in the spirits industry for you?
Sure. So you asked about my background. Let's start from birth. I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. Out of high school, I went to North Carolina State University, where I played football. My first 2 years, I played with Russell Wilson, and then my last 2 years, I played with a quarterback named Mike Glennon. I played tight end. From there, I went to Ohio University and earned my master's at Ohio University, and then I got right into marketing from there. And I marketed things from apparel to healthcare. And how I got into spirits is 2 years ago, I had a buddy of mine who I worked with at a apparel industry, and he was working at Sazerac, and he said, "Hey, this company here is one of the best marketing companies in the world, and growing to be better, and one of the top spirits companies in the world, having brands like Weller, Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace, and so on." He said, "Hey, if you really want to grow your career and get exposed to some really cool products, this is a great way to do it." And that really intrigued me because being from Cincinnati, Ohio, which is in the bourbon belt, not too far from Kentucky, I grew up drinking bourbon with my family, or at least I wasn't supposed to be drinking. I was watching my uncles. I was watching my uncles enjoy bourbon. But I grew up in that bourbon belt, so I always had an interest in an exposure to it. And so having a chance to get closer to it myself was, I mean, one I couldn't pass up on. So I started with Sazerac, working on like the Sazerac corporate brand, and then got into our bourbons, our brandies and cognacs, and then now again with the bourbon portfolio now.
So I'd assume that you did some research before coming on to work for Sazerac. What was it about their marketing that kind of caught your eye, or thought that, you know, this is a company that I want to work for, given your background?
Well, when you think about products like bourbon or just spirits in general, when you go into a liquor store, I mean, there's so many on the shelf, right? And so there's so many things to choose from. So if I have a universe of opportunity, but somehow this company continues to remain top 2, 3 spirits company in the world, that means that they know how to position the product in a way that people can really appeal to. And one and I lost you a bit. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I don't know if that was might have been me. So I think I lost you for a couple seconds. My apologies.
No worries. But one thing really cool about marketing is that it appeals to that deeper desire, and that's one thing we do with Sazerac. And as we're building our bourbon portfolio, we know that bourbon is a product that helps cement the moment. It's a product that people really take it and enjoy, to really savor the moment and partake with people who they really enjoy spending time with. And so when you think about products like Weller, in particular, Weller Antique 107, it's a phenomenal product that whoever you're enjoying it with, if it's a son, a father, a friend, or just a big milestone moment, this product will always be cemented in that moment in time. And I think that from a marketing perspective, we do a great job of articulating that and showing how that's going to be the consumer's experience.
I love it. Freddie always says something like, never drink good bourbon with people you don't like, or something like that.
He says, or maybe the same phrase, but just the opposite direction. Always grab a good bottle of bourbon for the people you love.
Yeah. That's great. So today we're talking about our barrel pick of Weller Foolproof. There it is, right there. Hopefully you guys got your bottle. And tell us a little bit about Foolproof. You know it's been around for a few years now. I think it initially hit the market. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. I think it hit pre-COVID. Tell us about the history of the Weller brand, and specifically Weller Foolproof.
Absolutely. So, and I know you're saying foolproof, but we're going to foolproof. So the brand in general is obviously named after one of the bourbon pioneers who was from Louisville, Kentucky, and his name is William LaRue Weller. And William LaRue, he actually served in the Mexican-American War. And in the 1840s, he returned home from the war back to Louisville, Kentucky, and that's when he started his wholesale liquor business. And by the time we get into the 1930s, you can actually find advertisements for the Weller wheated bourbon in newspapers. And one thing that's really cool about the William LaRue story is he actually partnered with someone by the name of Julian Van Winkle. And Julian Van Winkle joined the Weller and Sons company as a traveling salesman. And so today we have the Weller brand that is distilled and bottled at Buffalo Trace. And it's one of the most world award-winning bourbons distilled and bottled at the world's most award-winning distillery. Weller in particular is the original wheated bourbon. So what it does is it uses wheat instead of rye. And what that wheat is going to do is going to make a very smooth, sweet, approachable profile that a lot of incoming bourbon consumers, but also expert bourbon consumers really enjoy drinking. So it's not blended. It's not a malt whiskey, or it's not a blended product. It is made from a single distillery, Buffalo Trace, and again, that being one of the world's most award-winning distilleries.
So obviously there's a lot of different releases under the Weller name. You have obviously William LaRue Weller, which is part of the Antique Collection, 107, Special Reserve, CYPB, Foolproof. What would you say your favorite Weller out of all the Wellers is? I know we're tasting Foolproof, so don't let that skew your judgment here, but do you have a favorite? I know everyone's opinionated.
Yeah, my favorite probably is either Weller 12,
okay,
or the Antique.
All right.
But I really like Weller 12 because one, it's bottled at 90 proof, so it has a really smooth but strong presence. When I smell Weller 12, I get almond, kind of cream corn, maybe like toasted vanilla on the nose, but it's kind of like a mid-palate flavor. It's heavily wheated, but layered and complex and moderately sweet. So I tend to enjoy the Weller 12. What about you?
I like Antique probably the best. just personally. I mean, William LaRue Weller is obviously amazing, but I think you don't get to drink that. At least a lot of people don't get to drink Weller ever, and hence why it's so popular. And but I think I've been fortunate enough in my tenure with the company to try pretty much, well, not everything Sazerac has to offer, but a lot. I mean, I had the luxury of tasting a Pappy 25 year a few months ago, so that was special. But I think Weller 107 is like, for me, it's well balanced. It typically has a really nice cherry note for me that I don't tend to get on the other ones. The foolproof to me is a little bit more wood. I get a little bit more nuttiness out of it, like creme brulee, kind of like what you said you get with the 12 year. I get a little bit of that with the foolproof here as well. Mm-hmm. So before we get into tasting, I need to ask our audience to help me out here, because I think this is maybe the second time in the history of this call that I'm actually not drinking right now. Much like many of us, I just needed to take a break and kind of do a reset. So I'm taking a small break right now. So I'm not going to be drinking tonight. So I'm going to rely more heavily on the audience. I know everyone's saying boo right now, but I think sometimes taking a break is good. But please chime in. We have our tasting notes here on our card, so you can see kind of the awards that won, the history of the brand, some of my tasting notes: vanilla, dark cherries, caramel, toasted oak, long notes of creme brulee. Obviously, with being a single barrel, this is going to vary from batch to batch. I have bottle 226. I'm not saying that these taste notes are based off of this, but this was just when I tasted some of the barrels. This was like kind of a cumulative general tasting notes. So again, may vary from bottle to bottle, but please in the comment section, if you can chime in with your tasting notes, so we can, and then tell us what barrel you're tasting. Like I said, I have 226. Feel free to chime in with that, but look forward to hearing everyone's comments. We got Mark Horowitz, bottle 249. Zachary Harden has bottle 253. Just chime in with your tasting notes and your bottle numbers, and we'll try to get to them. So Weller recently, we're going to get into maybe not the elephant in the room, but the what everyone's talking about on the market, and that's the release of Weller Millennium. Can you tell us a little bit about the origin of that? How, maybe if you know, how long has it been in the works? Obviously, we have whiskey here from 2000 to 2008, or there may have been one older than that. But yeah, tell us about kind of Weller Millennium, and I know it's going to be hard to find. Daniel Kim, bottle 251. Thank you for chiming in. Sarah Steepleton, bottle 008. Again, throw your tasting notes. Miles Santoro, barrel 227. Tastes like blackberry sweet tea. I love it.
Nice.
All right, can you give us the rundown on Weller Millennium?
Well, Weller Millennium has been in the works for 125 years, at least. Are at their most immature state 80 years old when they're cut down, the trees. So that's when the barrels are started. But from when the barrels are complete and the aging process started, I mean, the oldest liquid we have in that barrel is around when that bottle is around 24 years old. So we have a experimental collection. And we're always trying to figure out how can we excite our consumers with something new. I know we have our standard products, but how can we offer something new to our consumers? Because that's what we just love to do, right? And the team sat around maybe a year or 2 years ago, and they looked at the inventory we had on hand. They said, "Hey, what can we do next?" And our master distillers, Drew Mayville being one of them, said, "Hey, we can blend the next iteration of Weller." And some barrels that we had on hand were from 2000, 2003, 2005, and 2007. And Drew Mayville found the best blend of those barrels to develop Weller Millennium as we are into the newest millennium, and being the 2000s and now 2020s.
What do we have a final proof? I don't know if that's been released yet or not.
Final proof is 99 proof.
99 proof. And is that just what Drew landed at from the best, what he felt tasted the best, or were we always when 99? That's kind of an odd number, right? I think anybody goes into it being like, oh, we want it to be just below bottled and bond, right?
Right. Well, when Drew and team are working to find the best blend, what they're doing is they're looking at what's the best blend between the barrels, but also what's the best proof. And so there were some samples of product that was a different blend, different proof. But yeah, our master distiller team said, hey, this is the best between blend and then proof.
And then I don't want everyone running to Buffalo Trace today, but I believe there was maybe a special bottling that happened today that product may or may not have been being bottled.
That product should be available here coming up soon. And for it to be available soon, it has to be bottled and prepped relatively around this time.
And is there a number of how many bottles are being released, or is that not yet determined?
Not yet determined, but we're going to create as many as we can. But not yet determined. But we should be around. I'm not quite sure yet, but yeah, not yet determined.
You're like, don't say a number. I don't want to be held to that. Well, I know there may be some people in the background watching that we'd like a bottle or two, if possible. We ask nicely, but we're very excited about that, and hopefully I get to try it. Who knows? But let's just go through some of these tasting notes really quick here. So Daniel Kim says nose of vanilla and caramel pronounced. Bill Weissman has barrel 226 in Vegas. Thanks for being a member, Bill. Vegas is one of our strongest membership areas, so thank you. Toasted caramel, stone fruits, Ann Gonzalez. I believe Ann's a member in Claremont. Thanks, Ann. 224, creamy mouthfeel, slight orangesicle, bacon spice vanilla. I love it. Let me see if there's any else here. Kevin Adams, barrel 036, rich caramel, toffee, oaks, and dark berry fruitiness. It's bold but very enjoyable. This is not a tasting note, but maybe it's because of the maybe they chose 99 because David Singing says 99 proof because it breaks into the new millennium.
That's a good thought.
That's some good marketing right there. I think
I was actually thinking that's a good marketing story. We might need him on our marketing team.
That's awesome. Kudos to David. Cool. Well, we got a few more questions for you before we go into our Q&A from our members. So if you haven't asked a question, we're starting to our awesome people behind the scenes are starting to filter through those questions and put them in our private chat. So keep the questions coming for Anthony. Anything Sazerac related, Weller related. Try to stay Weller related, but we'll see what questions you have. Our members always get creative. So what has been your most memorable experience so far at Sazerac that you're like the story you tell of like this is why I love working here is because and give maybe one story of why that would be, other than that you just love whiskey.
I Yeah, I think it bleeped out a bit, but I heard the question. The question was, what was the most memorable moment that I've had working at Sazerac? And I think that most memorable moment is interacting with Freddie Johnson, either on a podcast or shadowing one of his tours. One thing about Freddie is that, I mean, he is ingrained into the Buffalo Trace family. He's a third generation, and he's also brought on his own generation to be a part of Buffalo Trace. So he's truly invested into the Buffalo Trace family and Buffalo Trace success. But hearing him tell his stories and his perspective on the brands is, I mean, second to none. He's so passionate. The stories are so deep and rich. Probably one of the coolest stories that I heard him tell was the story behind Freddie's root beer. Are you familiar with Freddie's root beer?
Yeah.
So the story, have you heard the story of Freddie's root beer?
Freddie's told me before, but I think I may have been a few whiskeys deep, so my recollection is a bit hazy. So please tell us again.
And I won't pretend to be as good as telling a story as Freddie is, but Freddie was telling me that the company had some product acquisitions, some of which weren't even in the spirits category, but this company was saying, hey, are you interested? And they said, well, it doesn't really fit our product line, but let's think about it. And our CEO went to Freddie and said, Freddie, what are your thoughts? And Freddie told him a story about how he used to grow up on the Buffalo Trace Distillery, and growing up on the distillery, him and his family will go to church not too far from the distillery. And after church, the kids will take big blocks of ice and chip away at the ice to get ice chips to then make ice cream. So not only will they make ice cream, after they make the ice cream, they will then go to the cooler and grab a root beer from the bottom of the cooler and then make root beer floats on Sunday afternoons for the entire church congregation. And so as Freddie was telling that story, they said, that's it. This is Freddie's root beer, because Freddie has been on the Buffalo Trace Distillery making root beer floats for the past 70 years. And now we have an opportunity to not only get Freddie's root beer, and then not too far after that came bourbon cream. And so now one of the serves of bourbon cream is with Freddie's root beer.
Nice. And then Freddie's root beer you can only get at the distillery, right?
No, it has some distribution. It has some distribution.
Oh, really?
You can get it some places. I haven't seen it out in a while, but Freddie told me that it's available outside the distillery. But if there's one surefire place that you can find Freddie's root beer, it'd be at the distillery.
Yeah, and again, I say this every time we talk to anyone from Buffalo Trace. If you are a bourbon lover and you have not been to Buffalo Trace, it is something you need to do as soon as you can. It's the Disneyland of whiskey distilleries, in my opinion. There's a lot of amazing distilleries out there that I've been to. Every one of them has been great, but do yourself a favor, get yourself to Buffalo Trace as soon as you can, because it's a great experience. Couple more questions for you before we get into Q&A from the audience. If you could drink one whiskey for the rest of your life, what would it be? Tough one.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, my internet today is not the greatest. Sorry, I missed what you said.
No worries. I said two come to mind. So if you'll let me, I'll give you two.
Okay, that's fair. We'll allow it.
Thanks. Buffalo Trace. I think that is just a very smooth, approachable product that I think if you haven't been to the distillery or if you haven't had Buffalo Trace, that is something to definitely engage in. And then the second I would say is 1792 12 year. 1792 12 year was voted best bourbon in the world recently. And I think that too is a very, very smooth product. And then if I had to offer one more, I would say Weller Special Reserve.
Okay. Why the Special Reserve? You said the 12-year was your favorite.
Well, it is, but you said every day.
Ah.
You said every day.
The rest of your life. That's what I said. You're right.
The rest of my life. And just because that was a little more smooth and approachable.
Okay. Love it. I think Weller 107 would be high up on my list.
Okay.
I do like the 1792 Foolproof a lot. Now I'm trying to look at my whiskeys. The problem is I don't necessarily collect whiskeys because I like to drink them too much.
Yeah.
So
what is that bottle over your? Is that your left shoulder?
Oh, that's not whiskey. That's an elote liqueur.
Okay.
Yeah. That's in my this back corner is my tequila mezcal kind of section. The whiskey sections I got to figure out how to like get something to prop. I think like this is probably
nice.
a better angle, a little behind the scenes, but there's nothing here to hold my laptop up. But
now the last time someone from Sazerac was hosting a tasting, was it a 1792 product?
Yeah, that was back in February, but we did a Weller 107 pick a couple months ago that we had. I'm blanking on their name, but we had someone from Sazerac on. So we've had quite a bit of Sazerac representation here these past few months,
nice.
Which I know the members love. Before we get into our song choices and then move into the Q&A section, favorite whiskey cocktail, first question. And then if you're not drinking whiskey, what's in your glass?
Nice. So favorite whiskey cocktail, it's the easiest, most ordered product of mine probably is Old Fashioned Buffalo Trace.
Okay, bourbon Old Fashioned.
Yeah, Old Fashioned Buffalo Trace.
Fun fact, let me do a shameless self-promotion here. Fun fact, every Thursday at Eureka, $10 Buffalo Trace Old Fashions. Every Thursday from open to close, $10 Buffalo Trace Old Fashions. So,
and guys,
I really expect to see you in one of our restaurants on a Thursday if you're in California or any of our other states.
And guys, I promise you that he did not give me $20 to plug that in.
I just bought him 2 Old Fashions on a Thursday.
But I'll tell you what, if I'm feeling frisky, at Manhattan, bourbon Manhattan.
Nice. Love it. 2 great drinks.
What about you?
Whiskey drink? Oh, I'm more of a rye guy for my old fashions. If I'm doing a bourbon cocktail, and again, perfect why I chose it, Boulevardier. Mm-hmm. Riff on a Negroni, but with bourbon. So recipe right there, equal parts Campari, sweet vermouth, and Foolproof. I think that is my perfect bourbon cocktail. Other than that, whiskey cocktail. I like a Manhattan. A Sazerac is great. You know, the classics. Starting tomorrow, another promotion. Sorry, we're launching a new menu at all our Eurekas tomorrow. New cocktail menu, new food menu. So, as a reminder, all our members get 10% off their dining experiences, both drinks and food. So if you didn't know that and you want to come check out our new menu, that happens tomorrow. The reason in talking about this, we have a new Buffalo Trace cocktail on our menu tomorrow that I think is great. It's called Campfire. It's a smoked cocktail that has hickory smoke, graham cracker syrup, a cinnamon tincture we make in house, and then chocolate bitters. And then it gets topped with a roasted marshmallow. So Campfire, probably guessed by now, it's a s'mores themed cocktail. So come out, try one of those. I obviously love it. It's my recipe, but the graham cracker simple syrup we make for this thing is killer. So again, Reminder, everyone gets 10% off if you're an active Whiskey Club member. Come in and taste some new food and new drinks tomorrow. All right, no more shameless self-promotion. I apologize, Anthony. I just have these things in the back of my head, and you're sparking them. So let's get into song choices. You chose 2 songs tonight that represent, whiskey in general or Weller Full Proof. If you don't remember them, I have them here. But
tell me what they were. Well, tell the audience. I remember, but you tell the audience what they were.
Yeah, Whiskey in the Jar by Thin Lizzy. So why'd you choose that?
Whiskey in the Jar is a really smooth song. So I'll tell you, when I was asked to produce 2 songs for Weller, I candidly didn't know exactly what to pick. I mean, there's so many options. But I'm in the middle of right now, from a marketing perspective, building like the brand persona and building like the ideal target consumer. And so what I did is, from the consumers who I think our target consumer will be, I asked them, and can you still hear me?
Yeah. I'm good. Sorry.
I know you could. And I asked them, like, what are you listening to? And I built like a small playlist myself, and I went through the whole playlist, and I picked 2 songs that are kind of like different ends of the spectrum, to kind of fit what the consumption environment might be. So the first song that we're talking about here, I think that song is a smooth, chill song. You can have your glass, hang out, kick back, enjoy the campfire, and just really enjoy the time with you and your loved ones, like in a really just relaxed environment. I think that song is a good, relaxing, chill song to just enjoy the moment.
Awesome. And the second song you chose, I'm not even drinking tonight, and I'm just learning my words. Jesus. The second song you chose is "All My Life" by Foo Fighters. Give us a brief rundown of that, and then I'll tell you my song, and then we'll hop into the Q&A.
Yeah, so "All My Life" I think is the opposite end of the spectrum. So it's a little more rambunctious, a little more upbeat, and I think it just represents a different consumption environment, where, hey, maybe we're out having a good time, we're moving around a little bit more, but still represents the bourbon consumer, and definitely Weller Antique 107.
I love it. I chose "Whiskey Fever" by Zach Bryan. Just Zach Bryan's one of my favorite artists right now, and I think everyone, anytime you put a Weller Full Proof barrel pickup, everyone gets the Whiskey Fever, and they come a running. So that's why I chose that song. So we'll add those songs to our playlist. Again, you can find that on Shopify. And let's dive into these questions so we can give away some prizes, and then have a wonderful Wednesday night. So Tony Simmons says, "Hey, Anthony, can you elaborate what new or unique marketing strategies you employ to help make Weller such a sought-after spirit?"
Yeah, I think, one thing we really think about is creating our next wave of raving fans, and really driving that demand. And one way we do that is, first, building the brand domestically in the U.S., and then strategically building the brand globally, leveraging outlets like travel retail, like duty-free travel retail, to get strategic placement of the brand. But strategically growing the brand domestically and abroad, and then launching cool, new, exciting things like Weller Millennium to really drive that excitement for the brand.
Awesome. Bill Wiseman said, "Is there a concern to keep the momentum going as more supply comes online? What are the thoughts on that as supply ramps up?"
As I mentioned before, we're always working to drive demand. So no concerns now, as we're growing the brand, and we're just looking forward to offering more product to continue to serve our raving fans and our consumers who are excited to really enjoy Weller and all the expressions.
Zachary Harden asked, was it difficult to adopt to Sazerac's marketing strategies? And then also, what are your favorite perks about working for Sazerac?
No, it wasn't difficult to adopt at all. I mean, I think they have some world-class marketing strategies, and as the company itself is growing globally, I mean, we have a hub in Switzerland. We have team members in several countries all over the world, and we have a marketing strategy from a Sazerac perspective, but also from like just best marketing practices that really align with how I see the marketing world personally. So no, it wasn't difficult to adopt it at all. What are some of my favorite perks? Meeting with people like you, Zach, and having a chance to be on a platform like this with Trevor.
Awesome. All right. Rolando M says, is it possible to share the age statement difference between Antique 107 versus Foolproof?
So those two products aren't age stated. So actually, I don't. Did you hear me, Trevor?
Yeah, I think it's my 3-year-old streaming Peppa Pig inside that's slowing my internet down. But
no worries, no worries. Well, I gave her answer that Rolando probably wasn't super excited.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I knew the answer before you asked it, so we're good. Let's see here. Ann Gonzalez wants to know, have you been able to try Double Eagle Very Rare or the new Millennium?
Yes. No.
Okay. What do you got to be there for 5 years before they let you start trying that stuff?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think so. I've held it in hand before, but I never tasted it.
Well, last I heard, our Bakersfield restaurant still had some Double Eagle Very Rare on the shelf. May be gone by now, but little birdie told me we may be getting another bottle. I'm not quite sure where that's going to land, but maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll do a little whiskey club competition to see where we put that. Not to sell the whole bottle, but where the bottle will land. But just an idea. Don't hold me to it. Let's see here. Some more questions. Linda Archer says, Anthony, what is your everyday bourbon of choice? Oh, we talked about all that, but she had a second question. What is your special bourbon of choice? Did you hear me? Sorry.
Yep, I did. No, I did.
What's your special occasion bourbon?
Special occasion bourbon. Honestly enough, I had a bottle of Weller Foolproof that I was hanging on to for a while. That I just cracked open. Eagle Rare 17 is another special bottle that I hold on to. But I tend to live by what Freddie Johnson said, which is, bourbon isn't made to sit there; it's made to be drank. So if I have something nice and someone I love's around, we'll open it up.
Awesome. Daniel Kim says, are there certain positions in the warehouse or maybe certain areas of the Buffalo Trace distillery that produce the best barrels?
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are. I mean, I was actually meeting with our ops team today, and I mean there are some very smart professionals who run our distillery and run our warehousing. So I'm sure there are. I don't know personally in this moment, but I do know that different placement within the warehouse will yield a different type of product.
This is a fun one. I always like the unique questions. Ken Allard asks, if you were going to make a Jeopardy answer for Weller, what would you ask? I know it's It's a thought-provoking one.
It is. Well, so really quick, Trevor, what's the flow of like a Jeopardy question?
It's the answer to the question. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the is it the one where it says Weller for 400?
Yes.
Okay. And then it says man, I don't know. I was hoping that would get to.
10.
Well, Trevor, what would yours be if you could think of one?
The best single barrel pick of Weller Foolproof. What is Eureka Whiskey Club?
There you go. There you go. That's good. Nice.
I'm just all about shameless self-promotion tonight for some reason. Larry B says, what has the reception been like for Buffalo Trace London location?
Phenomenal. Our team, we have some team members out there right now. Our global lead of home place, Ed Bell, is out there right now. I was talking with him today. It's been phenomenal. It's been a great tool to help globalize Buffalo Trace and the Buffalo Trace distillery, which impacts the entire Buffalo Trace halo, which Weller is included in. So I mean, it's been phenomenal. It was a really cool project. How we looked at that when we look at it, talking from like a marketing perspective, we look at moonshot ideas, and how I like to describe moonshot. If you think of President Kennedy, he was giving a speech, I believe, in 1963. He was talking about actually going to the moon, and he was like, guys, I mean, we don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to get there, literally to the moon. And so now in today's world, we've already been to the moon, but there are other things we want to accomplish and don't quite know how we're going to get there. So it's a moonshot idea. And then we put together a really creative team, cross-functional team that didn't know how to get there at the beginning, but ultimately gets there and really impacts the overall organization and our customers.
Brian Z says, how does digital play a part in marketing strategy for a spirits company?
I mean, big. First and foremost, I mean, like closest to home. I'll go closest to home to furthest away from home. Closest to home being like our own website. So if you go to buffalotracedistillery.com, it's a great resource to not only see how you visit the distillery and what that experience might be like once you go there, but also a good entry into all of the product line that we have. And so it's a good resource for consumers to get exposed to our brands. And then furthest away from our brands, like the platforms that can actually sell, we partner with some platforms to get our products on and help us meet our company goal, which is meeting consumers where they are.
Marco Sanchez says, what would you pair food-wise with Weller Foolproof? A nice cigar would be my answer, but I know that's not food. But.
Well, the cigar, that's the obvious. Like that's the of course. Easy answer: steak and potatoes.
Nice. Can't go wrong with that. Wait, mashed potatoes or baked potatoes?
Man, that's a really good distinction. And I'm going with the Weller Foolproof. I'm going mashed.
All right, I love it. Some good gravy on it too. Can't go wrong with that. Sorry, we'll end on this one and then we'll pick a couple winners. Tony Simmons asked, "What are the biggest challenges that you and Buffalo Trace or Weller face today, in your opinion?"
One thing about bourbon is I can't make it today. I can't make it in the next, 6 months. It takes years for bourbon to come available. It's a really great challenge. But that entire process that we talked about at the very beginning, 125 years from growing the tree to product actually being here. But that entire process from beginning to end, and finding fun, creative, but also environmentally friendly ways of bringing new product to the world.
Love it. All right, let's roll through these questions. You tell me your favorite two, and then I will pick the two winners. So we have the question about unique marketing strategies to help make Weller such a sought-after product. Had the question about keeping the momentum go as more supply comes online. What are your thoughts on what supply ramps up? We had the question about was it difficult to adopt the marketing strategies and your favorite perks? We had the question about difference in age between Weller 107 and Weller Foolproof. We had the question about have you ever been able to try Double Eagle Very Rare or Millennium? We had the question about your special occasion bourbon. We had the question about the certain areas of the warehouse that the best barrels come from. I had the question of the Jeopardy question. What is the reception of Buffalo Trace London been like? We had the questions about digital play in the marketing strategy of a spirits company. And then we had the question about what your favorite pairing for Weller Foolproof was. And lastly, we had the question about the biggest challenges that you and the Weller team face today. So hopefully you could remember all those. But what were your top two?
Top two Jeopardy question. One, no particular order. One, and then the biggest challenges.
All right. I like the Jeopardy question the best, just because I'm a Jeopardy fan and I thought it was unique and out of the box. So, Ken, we're going to be sending you a first place prize of the bar kit, the Weller bar kit. You got like a Weller branded shaker tins and spoons and some other cool stuff, a Weller water bottle and a tote bag. And then Tony Simmons, you got the second place prize, which is a Glencairn glass, a shirt. So we'll reach out to you for your shirt size and then a tote. Lastly, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for being a member. We got a lot of great, exciting stuff coming with the club. So if you're a new member, we have a lot of great barrel picks coming out for the rest of the year. A couple more with Sazerac, hopefully soon. And also some other great brands we'd love to introduce you to. So like I said, you should be receiving an email for hopefully the sale this Saturday for the extra Weller Foolproof bottles. If you remain a member next month and we still have bottles left, we're going to allow members to buy up to 2 bottles of Weller next month with purchase of another whiskey bottle. And new menu tomorrow for Eureka. So go check out that campfire cocktail. I really think everyone's going to love it. And we're going to have a lot of other great cocktails, a lot of great food. And Anthony, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to enjoying a drink with you in person one day.
Yeah, absolute honor and pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Cheers.